Hello students, welcome to week 13. So we've touched a little on ethical situations that we run into in the auto repair industry, but I think this is an important topic that we could stand to delve into a little more deeply. The BAR, as we have learned, has its own standards of ethics that they create for us. Guidelines that are designed to have businesses run in hopefully the similar ethical ways, namely setting prices that are market share prices and making sure that customers have agreed to, have been informed of and agreed to before any work is begun to those prices, and that is clearly documented on work orders that are given to the customers. But we also make our own rules. The BAR has their standards and we make our own rules, again very often to do with prices and how that work is done and when that work is done and in what order that work is done and how it's explained to customers. But basically we're in the business of selling, and when people are selling merchandise, computers, TVs, clothes, whatever, customers are often a little more highly motivated than they are to spend money on their cars, and I think in that case it's a little easier. For us, it's a little trickier because not everyone is anxious to spend money on their cars, and we are often selling things in an atmosphere of suspicion or distrust. Are we really recommending, or do they really need what we're recommending? Are we really doing what we're saying we're doing? So it's a little trickier for us. When something breaks, a hose breaks, the battery dies, what's another example? A water pump springs a leak. When something breaks, it's maybe a little simpler because it's pretty easy for the customer to understand. But there are a lot of maintenance items that frankly lots of people have no idea about. In the old days, maintenance was a little simpler. Oil changes, spark plugs, points. It was pretty limited. But in today's world of electronics, it's more complicated. There are things like relays that are prone to fail, that will fail at some point in their life, that we know are going to fail at some point. Same thing with ignition coils, same thing with belt tensioners. And in those cases, should those become maintenance items? Do we offer to a customer that their car has lots of miles on it, and in many cases the ignition coils are going to fail, have often failed before this? Do we recommend replacing them so that they don't suffer an inconvenience, a car running poorly or not at all as a result of a failed ignition coil? So again, maintenance items are a little bit trickier, and the world of electronics has made things change for us. The world of maintenance is different now in this electronic age that we live in. So this week there is a PowerPoint on ethical situations that I need you to look at. There's another PowerPoint about combinations in ALLDATA. So lots of jobs that we do have multiple possibilities. What's an example? Brakes, you can just replace pads. You can replace pads and rotors. You can replace pads, rotors, calipers. You can replace all of that plus the the flexible brake hoses. So if we were to price each of those things individually, it would be a much higher labor rate. But in fact, all data shows us that when you're doing things in combination together, the addition of one of those things ends up being a smaller, lesser labor rate. So it's very important that you know the difference between pricing pads, calipers, rotors, and flex hoses on the same car as each individual items, which is likely to be, 5 or 6 hours, whereas if you were to do them all together and all at the same time, it would be more likely to be 2 to 3 hours. So look at the PowerPoint about combinations, and there will be an assignment that has you looking things up, and this week there's quiz number 4. And after this week, we have one more week of assignments, and then there's a week of review and studying for the final, which will happen in the first week of December. So that's what I have for you. As you know, I am always available. The easiest way through the Gmail address to get my attention quickly. And otherwise, have a good week. And I'll see you next week.